You are listening to Level Up Gaming Podcast, episode 83, How Much Detail to Prep. Today we talk about how much detail you need to prepare to run your game. We discuss how to interchange NPCs and convey information to your players. We also discuss how to create content to run your first night and stay ahead of your players. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me in person once again, he'll have hundreds of NPCs with personalities. Jared.
It's true. I do typically have... I think my current game right now, which is called Land of Plenty, I'm still in development on it, has around 65 NPCs, each one of them with their own distinct personalities, descriptions, the whole 9 yards. Right now I'm categorizing what information that they know, that pertains to the mystery. Most of them ain't going to know nothing. But some of them will, and I'm sure you'll find those guys.
Well, I thought about this topic because I'm looking at my current game as I continue to perform maintenance on it and try to fill it in and try to do more stuff for it. But the thing that I think about with it is, and as I've kind of gone through it and I keep doing more and more and more with it, I'm going, how much of this do I actually need to have prepared, to be able to run the game? I had that question a lot as I got closer to the start of this game. Because this one feels more ambitious to me than the other takings that I've done before. So I guess I'll start with that question to you. How much stuff do you need to have prepared to start your game?
So... really, what I start to do is I look at the functional. Oh, we're picking up kitten purrs, I think.
Yes.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Sure. Sorry.
No, that's all right. You can keep playing with your cute, adorable kitten.
No, because the listeners are going to be like, "Oh my God, there's purring." Sorry, we have adorable kittens. So they're getting big though. Holy shit! I didn't know kittens grew this fucking fast. She went right over to Aaron.
Right over there.
Right over to Aaron's.
You're done. Okay, I'll go over to Aaron. Anyways, so what are you?
I typically, when I start developing a game, I focus on the functional pieces. What do I need to actually just get this thing started? To have, we've talked about the cake analogy before. I've used that a couple of times. What do I need to just have a good cake? Okay, what do I need to have a good cake? Now, some people vary on levels of, what makes a good cake. Well, the thing that I would say is, will it taste good and will it look like it, right? Which to do that is actually does not require too much information. A lot of storytellers, when they are building a game, the majority of storytellers have a name and like the character race in D&D. You know what I mean? Like, his name is Donnelly Everleaf, elf. And they might have an occupation. He is a local ranger who hunts for food for the town, and he sells his deer. And that's about it. And then in their brain, they keep locked away, well, he has seen this monster. He's heard stories around campfires on long hunts about this monster, and stuff like that. And they'll keep that in their brain, and they actually don't write it down. I don't advise not writing it down. I don't recommend that. I always recommend writing shit down but I have a horrible memory. I have a terrible memory. I'm made fun of at work because if I don't have a notepad, it's not gonna. I mean, like my coworkers know, they're like, Jared, write that down. And I'm like, okay. Or I have coworkers that are literally when they're like, hey, I asked you to ask Ted about this. They'll text me like, remember to ask Ted, and like I'll be like, yep, I'm on it. And then they'll text me an hour later, remember to ask Ted. I don't have a great memory. I don't. If I don't write it down, it's gone. The weird thing is I have a great memory for facts, just not things.
Not things. Not tasks.
Not tasks, but facts. Bam. I can tell you about the Battle of Broken Timbers, baby.
But no, it's a great point, though, that you talk about bringing to write stuff down for your NPCs. But most people would generally think, I guess the question that I have at that point is one approach right over the other? Because let's say that you come to XYZ town and you talk to NPC A at the town, who's the elf that you
NPC A
that you spoke about, and I know it's an elf.
Okay? Donnelly Everleaf.
Everleaf. Okay. Does Donnelly Everleaf need to know specific information, or does Donnelly Everleaf just a stand-in for anyone in the town who can relay information?
Whew, detailed question. Technically, Donnelly Everleaf is a stand-in for anyone who can provide that information, because if at let's say midnight the night before game, I roll out of bed saying I fucking hate that NPC. I'm gonna get rid of this NPC. I hate the way he looks.
No more Donnelly Everleaf.
Can he be replaced by Martin Stonehammer?
Cassandra, somebody or other?
Cassandra Broken Timber? As long as they have a backstory that can relay that specific information, because Donnelly Everleaf knew about the monster surrounding the town, because he's a hunter and he goes out there and hunts deer, so he's seen it, or he's seen the shadow of it. As long as Cassandra has that same opportunity, so maybe Cassandra doesn't even have to be a hunter. Maybe she's got a secret pot garden out, outside the town. I'm sorry. This is the problem with Jared when he storytells D&D. It's because I think of modern terms. It's like, Jared, there's nothing. Why does it a secret pot garden? There's no law against pot.
My look was literally like Jared had just scratched a record and like stopped. It's like, what?
Secret pot garden? I don't know. Aren't there anti-narcotics laws in Mordor? Do they have narcos?
Who's going to police it, Jared? Sauron? Is that what the Eye of Sauron's for? To find the pot garden in Middle Earth?
Found the pot garden. Send the orcs. But, I mean, think about it. There's legislation and laws even back in those days, but they've had public intoxication laws since Rome. You know what I mean?
Okay, good point.
They have, and that's when people were wearing togas, and that was considered fashionable dress, and there weren't flushing toilets. There's always been laws in the books since Hammurabi's Code. But let's just say pot's illegal in this. Let's get back to the point.
Yes,
that pot is illegal in this fantasy realm for some odd reason. I don't know. Maybe their president was Nixon.
Okay,
because Nixon was the one who made pot really illegal.
Okay. All right.
No one really gave a shit. But, okay, not into history. As long as Cassandra has the same opportunity of event to get that memory, so her secret pot garden, which is a mile outside of town because the local narco is on her, the local narcotics officer is onto her, so she's got it a mile outside of town, and every time she's walking, I'm sorry, I keep on wanting to like deep dive into this local narcotics enterprise of the fantasy lands. There, take that idea. I'm looking at you, Arizona. The state of Arizona, somebody in that state better make a game where they actually talk about local narcotics laws in a fantasy realm, because how fun would that be? Be like, oh, sir, you're carrying 2 pounds of pot. I mean, they got a little wagon with lights going. I'm sorry. Okay.
The wizards making little lights happen. You know.
Yeah. No, why not?
You talk to the alchemist to be able to get you red and blue.
So, as long as she has the opportunity to say, "I've seen the shadows in the darkness." Now, the great thing is that when crafting information, I tend to get very detailed, because it's the devil is in the details, especially when crafting mysteries and investigations. Because when you have a player like me, and they're like, okay, where's your pot garden? Now, Cassandra is probably going to tell you, because you're here to kill a monster, not bust her on weed. They know that monster has been seen in that area. Expect your ranger to be like, I go looking for scat. Scat? Scat. Yeah, scat. I go looking for scat. I want to see what this monster shits. I'm going to smell that poop. Ah, so good.
I don't know if this is actually a normal trope in D&D. I've never seen it.
Well, no, I mean, like, any hunter will tell you. I mean, when you know that identifying poop is telling you you're in the right area. That's you know true. What I mean? Then they're going for foot tracks and stuff like that. So now you have made Cassandra's pot farm. Like, this is why the devil is in the details. Because Cassandra says, I saw a monster near my pot farm, right? I know the monster's in that area. I don't even have to talk to the barkeep who can tell me more legends about the monster. I now have a target area, right? I have an area of operations. I know it is in the forest. I know it was seen in this area. Now, ways that you can kind of... And this is why the devil is such in the details of the information itself. It's not in the NPC. It's in where the information will take you. Because I have a target area now. I know where this creature has been seen. Now, one way to overcome that problem is, yeah, I saw it a month ago in that area. Okay, that intel is aging. It's old. It's probably not good anymore. Okay? So that's one way that you can defeat it. And the same thing with Cassandra's pot farm works for the hunter as well. Because the next question out of my mouth, when that hunter says, yes, I have seen the four-legged beast. Okay, that was stupid. Six-legged beast. They're going to ask where. Again, I am doing target tracking, right? I'm looking for my target. And that's, unfortunately, that's my brain. Okay, identify a location, and we're going to start narrowing it down until I have a good presumed area where I'm going to have my target. But you have to be prepared for that in the mind of your players. So details are so important. When did he see those eyes in the darkness? How far was it? Was it, past Sherman's Creek? And he saw it a month ago. Suddenly, Sherman's Creek, and trust me, many of your players, so hold on one second. Many of your players, mind you, when he says a month ago, they're still like, it's in Sherman's Creek! And they go running out to Sherman's Creek. That's some of your players, right? Some of your players aren't going to ask how old the intel is, or realize that a month is a hell of a long time. Go ahead.
So I was going to ask you, so the details are important about the monster.
About the information.
About the information in question. The NPCs are interchangeable to be able to deliver you said information.
As long as they have equal opportunity of event.
Okay, but I mean, obviously, your players don't know anything until they know something. Okay?
Right.
So your NPC, had you never introduced them, is now effectively faceless man A, can be replaced by any other faceless person.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, I understand that you might want to convey a personality with them, and you might want to do that. So
Absolutely.
You might give the NPC different types of personalities, maybe one if they're a man, maybe one if they're a woman. All depends on what you want to have and how much detail you want. But the most important thing beyond that is that you have the detail of the event that can be conveyed to the players through XYZ NPC.
Correct.
So in terms of preparation, that's the key, getting your devil details into the correct position.
Yeah, and typically when I create a mystery, or even when I create an adventure that has a backstory or a required backstory, typically what I'm going to do is and we've discussed this on the podcast before, backwards design methodology, which is actually a teaching methodology of developing it. I go from the end and I work my way forward. So the thing that it gives me is the opportunity to be like, okay, the creature is going to be at Sherman's River. Where was it the day before the person arrived? Or before the trope arrived? Where was it the day before? Okay, it is using this as a territory, Sherman's River, right? However, a month before, it was using the Oakwood Hills, okay? Why does it change location? I constantly ask myself, why? I do this so much. And ironically, that isn't backwards methodology. That's a different teaching methodology. It's called Socratic Method, where you pound the details into dust, right? You ask, okay, I want them to visit at least 2 locations because I want scary opportunity 1 and scary opportunity 2. So Oakwood Hills, I want them to mistake the creature for a group of goblins, right? I want them to go to Oakwood Hills. So everyone's information is going to be around Oakwood Hills. NPC A, B, and C are all going to report, we saw the creature around Oakwood Hills. NPC D is the only one who's seen it in Sherman's River because he's the fisherman, right? So I can still replace him with another person. It could be some young girl who went to go get a bucket of water, right? As long as there's equal opportunity of event, okay? So they can still be there. I just got to make sure that it makes sense that they're there.
That's the detail that you're more concerned about.
Well, but going back to the larger detail, why did that creature move? Why did it move from Oakwood Hills to Sherman's River? You might say, well, access to water. It was done walking. Creatures, monsters, does your creature have that high intelligence level? Where it's like, well, was it movement of game? That's typically why predators move. They follow game. Excuse me. And I really dive into those details, but it's the details of the information that is presented, not the details. And so many people get stuck on that. It doesn't really matter that Cassandra has a beauty mole on the left side of her face. That doesn't, guess what? You save that for when you've got time to put roses and daffodils on your cake and write happy birthday in big letters and whatever. When you are going for the basic, how do I get this game functioning? Locations and information, because information, as Aaron said, is interchangeable. It could be as long as computer nerd, it still could be accountant who finds, X information about this person, right? It could be a variety of individuals. The trick is that they have to have that opportunity of event or equal opportunity of event. So when you really dive into the details of the information, that's where you should get mucked up in the works and all that stuff. If you are getting gummed up in the works because you're sitting there going, I think there are too many elves in this town.
You're looking at the wrong details.
You're looking at the wrong details for the basic story. So when you are trying to put that story together, it's when it's done. When you've got your music done, your locations done, your battle maps done, everything else is done, then you can go back and go, I was really looking at a population of like 20 elves, and I've got 22. Get rid of those 2 elves. That's when you can really get spicy about, is their house made of wood or brick? Right? Is their house a duplex? Is it a single-family home? Do they live in an apartment?
So the reason why I brought this topic up is I'm thinking about it from my kind of current, career standpoint, which is software development. And there's this thing called the Agile Methodology. And in Agile, there's this concept of just enough, okay? Meaning you don't want to do more than what's required, okay? Also, there's this concept of, if your game is larger or your game is ambiguously undefined, how much do you need to know before you finally get the thing in flight? Can you figure out the destination after you've gotten in flight?
Yeah.
As long as you have a general idea where it's going.
Yeah.
And so, it's beautiful to have a well-constructed cake, but maybe I've only given you the base layer, and I'm going to build the top layer and all that other stuff. I'm going to do a 3-tiered cake. It's going to be beautiful. But I'm also going to, it hasn't even been frosted yet. It's got, the bare bones details. This is how to start a game. So when you think about that, I always find this problem. It's not as hard with NPCs because NPCs convey information.
Mm-hmm.
I always find it harder from my perspective with locations. Because what locations...
Oh, God, locations.
What locations do you require details for? Real details. Okay? And what locations do you require maps for?
Oh, Aaron. These are some toughies. These were not softballs, okay? What the fuck?
This is a serious conversation.
This is. You're throwing some hardballs.
So I'm speaking from experience. My current game was not 100% complete when I brought it out night one.
Right.
Okay? But I knew there was no way that you could have gotten it to the end of the game.
Guess what? Most of my games aren't pinpoint perfect by the time I launch them.
Okay? I was building a house. I had the scaffolding, started putting in the first floor. Okay?
Hey, and you know what? Guess what? Your players are none the fucking wiser. It doesn't matter then. Okay. When locations are difficult. So I myself have actually in always constantly trying to evolve as a storyteller and become better. I actually played around. So what my listeners don't know and what my players know very well is I actually have a very formulaic way of describing my NPCs. It's almost a templated way, but it conveys all the information that I feel is bare bones to get an image of a person. So, for example, I would say, Aaron appears to be. I always love using appears to be because, you never know what lurks beneath. Aaron appears to be a Caucasian male or Caucasian brown-eyed male in his mid-30s. He has brown hair, typically left unkempt, because I don't think you really style it that much. Typically left unkempt with a clean-shaven face. Aaron is average height, has an athletic build, and rounded facial features. Aaron commonly wears X, Y, and Z. It's a very formulaic, and almost all my NPCs have the same descriptor. The reason that I do that is because it lets me get through my NPCs very quickly. Where there's some variety to them, so I don't get, they're all, because especially one of the things that I've wanted to do is diversify my cast a little bit. It's funny, when you look back at your old games and you realize everyone's an old white guy. All your villains are old white guys. Villains can be from any background and any heritage, and that's kind of a cool thing. It's an equal opportunity. It's just something that I always want to make sure is that there's some diversity, because if everyone's white guys, what's the fun in that? Unless you're setting a game set in Sweden where everyone is a white guy, essentially that's the whole country. But you know what I mean? It's a quick way of developing my NPCs, and if I will start to identify patterns like, holy crap, I have not had somebody who's tall in 35 NPCs. All of them are average height. I wonder about that. And it's quick to switch out, you know? So when I'm building that, but back to locations, I tried to build a template for locations. I'm still actually in development of it. On this laptop sitting right next to me, there is a document about commercial building architecture types. Okay? And it gives generic versions of the architecture types, you know, stretching back from buildings that you see. Because, you know, like I just got back from New Hampshire. A lot of businesses are in single-family homes because that's what it was back then. You know, back in your 1800s, your barn was right next to your house. And you know, it's classified as commercial at that time, you know, or nowadays it's classified as commercial, and it's a single family home. There is a giant, they make gravestones right across from our office. They make gravestones, right? Beautiful pieces, by the way. Holy crap. Their stonemason is good. And it's the whole business is out of a barn and a single family home. Probably because it's been around. I think their EST is like the 1800s. Here in Chicago, you're not going to see as much of that. You're going to see commercial space that was built for commercial. You go to Los Angeles, you see a different type of commercial space. The thing is with details with locations, I have tried to look at it from I want them to feel the architecture. What does it feel like in the home, right? Down to, I need to make sure that if my players are using the mind's eye, that they can do tactical decision making. You know, there's three windows in the front, 4 windows in the back with a sliding glass door. There's 1 front door. There's a garage door. There's 2 windows on the side. I found none of that fucking matters when there's a map.
Yep.
When it comes down to whether or not the space, it is what is the purpose of that location in your game. Is the purpose of that location going to be a firefight? Guess what? It don't matter whether or not the building architecture was postmodern, you know, built in the 1960s, so it's designed to survive nuclear fallout. Doesn't matter. Guess what? Doesn't matter. Not at the basic levels. If you got time later in the game where it's you're making your 3-layer cake with the you know, little people on the top, awesome, great, go for it. More power to you. I would love to have that time. Yeah, go. But for your base foundation, it's going to be a firefight. I need a battle map. And the things that I need to know are very slim. Where are the weapons? If it's a battle map, where are potential weapons? Now, the great thing about home fights is I know there's a potential weapon essentially in the kitchen drawers and in most people's houses, nowhere else. Not everyone's a gun nut like I am, right?
That's true.
I would say most people are not firearms owners. It's actually a very small population size comparatively to the entire United States who own guns.
So you'll just have knives in the drawers.
Yeah, knives in the drawers. That's the only weapons in the house. That's what I need to know for a combat. Where are weapons? Where is potential cover points, right? I need to know where the couch is because I might have to jump over it. That's about it, right? I need to know where walls are because they can take cover from ammunition. Not ammunition, bullets. We discussed this, I think. Last podcast. Yeah. It's expended ammunition. I can take cover from fucking bullets behind a wall. Now, granted, if that wall is made out of drywall, probably not so much unless it hits a stud. But
again, I found this with the locations that, like, I'll give the example. You guys went to go look in an apartment complex in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just had a general idea of what the apartment complex should look like. Okay.
Which one? The burned out one or the one that was
burned out one? Even the one that you went.
Guess what? My mind's eye took it away from you.
Yeah, you guys.
I have a graphics processor.
You guys filled in the rest of the details that were needed for it.
It isn't it amazing? Like,
and I didn't need to draw up a map for it.
No.
I considered it. I was like, do I draw a map for this? I'm like, no. I'm like, they can just kind of figure it out. If it needs to get tactical, I can just draw. I can quickly draw it out. Again, this is why you have the maths at home. Quickly draw it out.
Whiteboards are great.
Again, if you, like with Chris, if you're blind, you need to have some other tools. Just continue to go with the mind's eye and just dive deeper into the details. Be like, okay, you're behind the wall here, and they're across the room, right through in the doorway that you came in.
So typically, tactical situations require they require maps. They do, because the thing is that cover is very important. It's important to know if I'm trying to where I am in relation to my opponent is a very important thing in combat. In that scene, it was an investigation, right? It doesn't matter if in my mind's eye there was one bedroom in my mind's eye. I can tell you exactly the building that I thought we were walking into. So because this game is currently taking place on Long Island, I very recently finished a documentary series on Son of Sam, right? And they showed the apartment building that Son of Sam lived in. That's where our characters were, in that building.
There you go.
And ironically, it creeped me the fuck out, which is what you were going for.
Even better than I could have done. So.
And we're going through this burned out building, and the only thing I can think of is Silent Hill. And in my mind, I'm in the Silent Hill hospital in my mind's eye. And when we got up to the room, it doesn't matter so much if my mind's eye was different from Brian's, which was different from yours. What mattered was what information it held. And again, that's where you have to get details.
The devil's in the details.
The devil is in the details of the information. It wouldn't matter if we had found that information in a single-family home versus an apartment building. Doesn't matter. Apartment at 246 Long Street versus apartment at 454 Headwood Street. Yeah, I said Headwood. What up?
They're identical.
Harry Potter's Owl's Got a Street. What up? So it doesn't matter in that situation. What mattered was the information conveyed. That's what it always comes down to. Even describing a location. If you want to get in the devil of the details of, the person walks, you guys come up to the large Southern-style mansion. Before you is a brick wall. Beautifully well-maintained. Fastidious even. It has black wrought iron gates that slowly open after you speak with security. And you drive up the long driveway. What are you attempting to convey with this? First off, I'm attempting to convey the person that you were speaking with cares about the details, or has someone that does care about the details, because the wall is well maintained. You know what I mean? I said that specifically. I'm giving you information for a reason. If there's no reason for the information, I could have just said, you come up to the large southern mansion. It has a wall surrounding the perimeter made of brick and a wrought iron gate. Okay, that information you're conveying to me is this person cares about security, right? Because not everyone's got a perimeter wall, all right? It's very seldom. Not everyone's got a buzzer that I got to buzz in, but it's also conveying that they are wealthy, right? When you specifically point out Southern Mansion, you're identifying the kind of
the architecture style.
The architecture style, but also the setting to remind us that we are in, the South. If the setting is important, the setting is in, rural Georgia, and here's this huge mansion out in the middle of rural Georgia, and this person is going to be a fine Southern gentleman. It's a nice detail to say that it's a Southern style home. It's a nice detail. Is it required? No. I could just say it's a large mansion. Doesn't matter what style it's in. Unless you really want that porch scene. He invites you out to the front porch with the large pillows. Invites you out for a cup of lemonade. Glass of lemonade. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're sitting on the porch in your rockers. You know, he's telling you the tale of his, you know, great-great-grandfather who also dealt with this supposed demon, right? His great-grandfather was a preacher, I guess. I don't know. But if that scene is important to you, add that detail in. If that scene isn't important to you, don't add that detail in. It's not necessary. Because every detail is about providing information. That's what every piece of that's what so much of what we are doing in storytelling is providing information specifically for our players to finish a story or to learn more about a story or learn more about an environment. You know, when I tell you that somebody lives in a trailer home, in a trailer park, comparatively to, you know, a mansion, I'm already making assumptions about level of personal wealth. Mm-hmm. This person in the trailer obviously does not have it. Person in the mansion obviously does. I'm telling you something about the NPC and their current situation. You will start to fill in blanks about their jobs. Well, this fine Southern gentleman is clearly a lawyer. Person who works in a trailer park clearly, you know, works night shifts at a warehouse. You know, which one can give me information on demons? I can't tell that information. I can't tell.
You have to go talk.
Got to go talk. But you know, if I'm walking up to the trailer home and there are crosses all around the home, you know, or everywhere you see, you know, you walk up and right there on in the driveway, written in chalk, is what appears to be an alchemical circle. I'm going to say I probably have a better chance of learning demonology information from the guy in the trailer park than the guy sitting in the Southern mansion. It's about conveying information. It's in guiding your players to where they need to go. And so when you're creating that game at that basic level with buildings, what information do I want to convey? With people, what information do I want to convey? And that information, those details have to be filled in. They have to be very meticulously filled in. Not the person themselves. You can almost imagine that person as a blank canvas that knows X information. Location A provides X information. It doesn't matter the description. Fill that in as it goes. Make sure that you've got the actual calories in your cake. You've got the sugar in there.
You've got the basic ingredients in the cake.
And that's what the information is. It is the actual ingredients of the cake. And then you start to, once you've got that all squared away, like the first thing I did when I started making Land of Promise was I didn't even make NPCs. I made a timeline. Literally, people didn't have names. They were person A, person B, person C. And I kept marking as I was building my timeline, person A, person B, person C, to build out as NPCs. Once I finished my timeline, I gave everyone names, gave them descriptions, gave them all this, and the information they contain therein.
That's some good stuff. Great.
Solid. Yeah.
Really good insight.
And you know what? It's don't ever worry, and this is to our listeners, don't ever worry that you are building it in flight. For years, I built in flight, and I've built some great games in flight. You know what I mean?
We often talk right now about building the complete package before you get started. It's not always feasible.
Not always feasible.
Okay, and the demands of your game group may make it so that you can't build the full package before the game starts. And you know what? You might just have a little bit more of like, you like to improv some things. but make sure that you have the details.
Yep. Make sure you got your details straight. Look at those details, catch those details. But otherwise, it's okay. When you don't have the complete package, it's okay. Because remember what role-playing is in the end as a community and as a hobby. It's about friends getting together, having good times.
Yes. And the last thing I want to say with it as well, because that was a good way to end it too, but...
Yeah, you bastard.
Sorry. Is that typically you add more details when you find that your improv skills are lacking.
Oh.
It fills in that gap. That's kind of the level of preparedness that you need to know. Mm-hmm. So if you're new, you might put more work into starting that preparedness. And if you've been experienced and doing it for a long time, you might not. So aside from those details, just one last little thing I wanted to throw in there. But like Jared said, it's about
friends getting together and having a good time.
Thank you. I queued you back up for it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up for this week. If you have any thoughts about how you prepare for a game, how much time you tend to put into it, your thoughts on like what do you need to be able to execute a game well, contact us at levelupgamingpodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. You can message us there. You can leave us a message on the episode as well. Yes.
I've raised my hand because I have to interject before Aaron goes into his normal ending. I've noticed something.
What?
How many episodes we got now?
This is like 83.
Okay. 83 episodes. At the end of the episode, Aaron says, for Jared, have a great week, everyone. And then I always say, have a great week, everyone. Technically, by saying, for Jared, have a great week, everyone, you are saying goodbye for me. I realized this after 82 episodes.
That's okay. It's part of the charm.
It is part of the charm.
Anyways, we'll continue. You can also find us on YouTube. So, Jared,
smash that like button. Just smash it.
Nice. And then go ahead and share this with your friends, family, other gaming group, other GMs that you know. If you have a local gaming store you go to, hey, drop us a little message. You know, throw us a little love. Maybe throw it to your game guy over there or something.
There you go.
But anyways, that's gonna wrap us up for the week. So for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone.
And it continues.